Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, ski. Absolutely. CHRIS. Live and direct with no stress. Yes, ladies and gentlemen. You already know what it is. I'm back at it. And we are here with the third installment where we combine graffiti, hip hop, martial arts, and video games. And y'all already see what it is right here. I see that right here? I see that? We did Sub-Zero. We did Reptile. Now we do Shao Kahn. Say the name. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Scorpion. Now, you want to know who my favorite character was in Mortal Kombat? Right here. Scorpion, the yellow ninja. I'll never forget. In the first Mortal Kombat game, I saw him, I picked him. I don't know what it was that gravitated me towards him, but I think it was the fact that he could just go ahead and spear you, and then you're stunned, and it's like a free hit. Boom! Uppercut him. Bang! You know what I mean? But you know what we're here to talk about, right? We talked about Mortal Kombat 1. We talked about Mortal Kombat 2. So it's only right we go ahead and talk about what? Mortal Kombat 3. But this is very multi-layered because there's 3 versions of this game. If you're a Mortal Kombat fan, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But let's go ahead and get to it, right? Let me go sit down and become a dot size to you guys in order to go ahead and surprise you. You know what I'm saying? Surprise you with some of this information. Now, Mortal Kombat 3. At this point, it's 1995, right? And it had been 2 years since the last game in 1993. So they had a whole year jump. And this time they wanted to go ahead and do a little something different. Now, if you remember the last 2 games, they played somewhat similar with a few differences. But by this time, Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo had come out, King of Fighters 94 came out. But the biggest influence I think that this game had, at least from a competition standpoint, was something developed by Rare Entertainment and Nintendo called Killer Instinct. And that game was crazy known because it had all these crazy dialing combos that you could perform that was, at that time, absolutely insane. You know what I mean? It made what Mortal Kombat was doing seemingly, like, mundane in comparison. Not the fatalities or anything like that, but the actual gameplay is that when Mortal Kombat 3 came out, they had a whole revamp, the whole entire thing. They went and decided to implement combos because of the fact that Killer Instinct had the same thing going, and they wanted to see what they can do to go ahead and pretty much, you know, implement and elevate the gameplay, right? And expand its game system. But the biggest problem that they had was they ended up taking out some fan favorite characters. One of them being this guy over here in the background. Scorpion's not in the game. Reptile's not in the game. Raiden's not in the game. Johnny Cage is not in the game. I think at that point, it was confirmed that he died. You know what I mean? So they were replaced by these brand new characters. And these characters were cool and interesting, but at the same time, it was kind of just like, you know what I mean? Cabal, Cyrax, Sector, Striker, who was just a cop. You know what I mean? Sindel, Nightwolf. Shiva was cool, but you get my point. So after the reception that they got from MK3, they decided to do Ultimate MK3 same time that year later on. Because again, the fan favorites weren't in there. So what did they do? They put in Reptile, Katana, Melina, Jade, Scorpion, obviously, and then they put in the masked version of Sub-Zero, and they finally brought Ermac to life after the whole Era Marco bullshit that was going on in the first game, where people thought that that was actually a character in the game. You know what I mean? So they went ahead and did that, and with that, they also brought back the Endurances that was in part of the first Mortal Kombat. They brought those back. And they went through one last change, almost a year later, that was exclusively for home consoles, right? That was Mortal Kombat Trilogy. The reason why the name and title is Trilogy is because they wanted to meld all the previous 3 games into one. So they had all the stages from the past 3 games. They had all the characters from the past 3 games. So that means, yes, Baraka and Raiden were added into this, as well as Johnny Cage. And the secret characters, Noob Saibot and Human Smoke. Also, Rain, who was in the intro to Ultimate MK3's arcade intro, they made him a real character and put him in the home consoles, and they brought him in for this game. So everybody was here. Then they added 2 new characters depending on the system you had. If you had PlayStation, you had Chameleon, the male ninja, that had all the male ninja's powers, and then you had Chameleon for the N64 that had Katana, Jade, and Melina's powers. And yeah, this was a really, really bonkers game because now you could play as the bosses too. It was absolutely crazy. And they had this new system called the aggressor system, you know, where you could get faster and it boosts your damage output. But overall, man, it was a real fun game. They even brought back classic versions of Raiden and Kano from Mortal Kombat 1, as well as Jax and Kung Lao from MK2. Now, the thing is that this kind of ended the 2D era of Mortal Kombat. And I have to say, it went out with a pretty good bang. You know what I mean? Mortal Kombat 3 definitely is one of the games, well, trilogy really, but, you know, just that series, that pocketed series, which you could look at like Street Fighter Alpha had 3 entries, Street Fighter 3 had 3 entries. Mortal Kombat 3 is like one of those that I go back to, especially with the new Mortal Kombat collection. Definitely, man. And yeah, it definitely left its mark in the 2D era. You know what I'm saying? Because again, this was the last one before they did Mortal Kombat 4 a year later, which was completely in 3D. So what a hell of a run it had, man. Seriously. From MK1 to MK Trilogy, that is one hell of a run. And shit. But that's it for me. You know what I'm saying? We're going to keep going because people are going to keep passing through. You know what I'm saying? That's it for this. You know what I'm saying? You got a glimpse of who my favorite character was. You know what I'm saying? Which is also Ed Boon's favorite character, the creator. So I feel like I'm in good company. And we're going to keep it like that, man. And don't worry, we're going to talk about Mortal Kombat again soon. Just got to find some Mortal Kombat pieces. And if not, I'll always be here to talk about it no matter what. You know what I'm saying? With that being said, man, that was the Mortal Kombat trilogy of games that I went ahead, talked about, gave my thoughts and opinions about in real time and reviewed. You know what I'm saying? And after that, we might do part 4, we might do Deadly Alliance, we might do Deception, Armageddon, MK versus DC, all that. But it's all a matter of timing, all right? So I'm going to go ahead and cut it off right here. You know what I'm saying? That's it for now. Hope you have a blessed day. 1. Get over here.